This is a very heated conversation on this topic that seems, for me, very cut and dry. I will say my opinion is very much formulated on this situation. I do not think genocide of any kind is. I honestly, it actually upsets me that we are having this conversation after like so much of the past history throughout the world. Like we have not learned. Genocide in any form is deplorable, despicable, disgusting. There's probably not enough words or a word in the dictionary or in life that can explain like how awful it is. Um, I just want to make that very clear. That's my stance on the situation. But I also want to make it very clear that not a single population group of people represent or all think the same way. Like, I don't want anyone to come and chat with like sweeping generalizations, being like, all of these people think one thing, all of these people think this other thing. Um, because I do not want people being like borderline what's the word, xenophobic, or there's one specifically for anti-Semitic. There we go. That's the word. I don't want anything like that in chat. If you're gonna come with that kind of energy, let's not do that. Um, but I don't want to not talk about this stuff because at the end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, we all live on this planet and things are happening. And it's nice for us in the Western world to like close our eyes and tune out everything and be like, well, it's none of my business. It's not happening to me. It's not affecting me. But there are literally like innocent lives just honestly whole families just being like eviscerated. And I think avoiding these topics, not talking about stuff is honestly even worse. I do think, though, please keep in mind your own mental health and how you're dealing with the situation, because in today's day and age, too much news can be very damaging. It can be very easy to spiral, to go down the lane of the world is fucked and nothing is ever going to be fixed and everything is wrong and oh my god, like what is the point of even anything? Trust me, I've been there mentally many times over the past couple of years. So just keep that in mind when dealing with any of these situations. I just wanted to do that spiel before we get into what we're talking about because I think it's important. I don't know if this is gonna go on YouTube, but if it does, don't make the YouTube comment section disgusting because I will just delete it. I don't care. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom to be absolutely ridiculous and also completely like ridden with hate speech. You can say most likely what you want to say without like degrading others, using slurs or whatever version of that. Cool. Glad we got that out of the way. Very serious conversation. Love doing this, but glad we're talking about it. Okay, let me pull up this huge ass tab I have. If there are other things, by the way, chat, that you want me to check out that are directly related to this, please put it in the Discord in SipSipStefen's React section. Don't put anything else right now. I will check that after this if there's like very specific like tweets or whatever. Obviously, make sure they're appropriate. But put that there. Cool. Let me get this on the screen. All right, chat. So, as you guys know, a bunch of Genshin, I think it's mainly Genshin. Yeah, a bunch of Genshin content creators obviously took sponsored collaborations with McDonald's. If you have not been on the internet, McDonald's has been on the boycott list for quite a long time. I'm not sure if it's from the very beginning. I don't know a ton about the boycott itself. I have actually it pulled up on another tab so we can talk about that. But it's been on the boycott list for quite a long time. Um, when this McDonald's collab dropped, if you even looked at the comment section underneath the post or in the quote retweets, you would very quickly come to realize that the community has not been about this collab. Is it everybody? No. Of course, there are some people who don't give a fuck. And I'm not going to tell people whether they should or shouldn't give a fuck. I don't think there's a way to do that. There are some people that aren't on every single side of every single conversation. Like I said, I feel like it's very easy when you look into the situation which side to be on, but that is not the conversation is going to revolve around. I'm more going to revolve around being a content creator in this space and dealing with these situations and where this all like went wrong and my whole thought process on this thing. So as you guys know, I was very shocked to see this. And I already had a feeling when this collab dropped that it was going to bring the politics of this situation into the community, which is the worst decision Genshin could make. Because Genshin, Star Rail, Hoyoverse games are all already riddled with infighting. Not to this degree of seriousness. Most of the time, the infighting is between, no, this ship is the best ship, or no, I don't think this lore is correct, and yada yada yada. But let us all keep in mind how bad that gets already. On things that don't matter. I'm sorry, but like the sexuality of a character, the, ship that is the most, like the best ship, the one that like makes the most sense or whatever the fuck, like that shit does not fucking matter. Like this is all just a video game in terms of like that regard. But this is taking the video game and putting it very much into like the real world of like how it interacts. And now of course everything in video games have some direct correlation to the real world. You can make an argument to be like, oh, well, LGBT representation in video games makes it more normalized. Like, yes, fair, valid, true. But this is like very specific and very in your face. And like that stuff is more like a background thing. I think there's a difference in my opinion. Dish posted this, and within seconds, chat, there were comments. There were quote retweets. Like it was never a good time. Of course, there are going to be people that defend Dish. Like I said, of course, there are going to be people that say, I don't get what the big deal is, yada, 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 and all that. But I will say like a large majority of people were not happy with this, at least on Twitter. Obviously, Twitter is its own little bubble. You could take this bubble and move it somewhere else. You might get a different reaction, but we're just talking about Twitter. I will say, for a tweet that has 2.6 now million views, 1.1k likes is not good. Like, you have that much QRTs, and that, like, if the QRTs are more than the likes, that's not good, but, like, that's crazy for a tweet with 2.6 million views. Now, the tweet reads, hey, McDonald's and Genshin, or hey, McDonald's and Genshin are linking up for an iconic collab. I'll be at the McDonald's and Genshin LAN party in LA on 9/22. Oh, I didn't. When was that? Wait, was that during TwitchCon? Oh. I didn't realize. I only knew about another one in Houston. I didn't realize there were multiple. Anyways, LAN party, for all those that don't know what a LAN party is kind of like everyone in the same room on computers playing a video game together. So it's like people playing Genshin together in this like one big space. Play Genshin with me, snag some merch, and a Genshin apple pie RSVP here for free. Link, hashtag ad. Obviously, in this scenario, the hashtag ad is very much prevalent. So we can all deduce, because I don't think any content creator is taking an ad for free, let alone this one, that obviously Dish was paid by, I don't know if it's McDonald's, I don't know if it's Genshin. I wish I had that information, don't have it for you. But was paid by somebody who obviously wants us to do well to promote this. I'm going to just say this. I don't know if this is a controversial take. It is one thing if on your own private time, in your own private space, you yourself go and grab a fucking McDonald's apple pie and do this. And some people will be like, that's deplorable. If you think that way, fair enough. But it is one thing as a content creator if you went like in secrecy to like go do that. Like I would be like, T. But it's another level when you take a sponsorship and then promote it to your audience. Like you are going way past the average consumer at that point. And then there is another level when you are like one of the biggest content creators in the space. Like, it'd be very different if this was happening with like some random one-off people that aren't very large. I'm sure they would get backlash, but like, okay, like they don't have like a huge like following, or like, maybe they needed the money and all that kind of stuff. Like you can make some of those arguments. But like when you're like some of the biggest content creators of the space, you are like anything you take on is like you putting your stamp of approval on it. or whatever. And I just don't understand personally why anybody would take this sponsorship right now, regardless of size. Taking even the whole politics out of it, like, let's strip away the politics. Anyone with a brain, like a brain, and this much of a brain, would know when looking into this, unless you truly don't know what's going on, what the response would be. And I am taking morals out of this conversation. Like, let's not even talk morals. Let's just talk purely from a strategic standpoint of, like, not caring about morals, like, just the benefit of doing this. The obvious benefit is money. Like, genuinely. Unless I, like, what is the other benefit? Because I don't think you're positively growing from this in any way. So I'm like, okay, it's not like, oh, I get to be in something that's a big deal and that's gonna net me growth. So I'm like, the only other thing is money. But in my head, I'm like, genuinely, how much money, not talking about morals, is worth taking this on? Because in my opinion, this situation is not a situation where you say sorry or you delete or you apologize and, like, all is well. Like, this is a situation where you fuck up and that fuck up follows you for the rest of your career. And, like, I don't know, like, I know Dish has been in some drama, like, obviously there's a whole Otsu thing, but that was like a side thing. Like, Dish was not the main star of that. So I don't know. I don't know Dish well enough in their, like, content, let alone their past, to know if they've, like, gone through, like, waves of, like, for instance, even shit that I've dealt with. But, like, I, out of all people, chat, would know that there are certain things that you will never hear the end of. And this is one of them. And in my opinion, this is, like, one of the worst ones to try and follow you everywhere because, like, no matter what Dish does now, for probably the next couple of years, if not longer, there will be people that bring this up constantly. And, like, right now, even because Dish hasn't made really any comments on anything beyond the day this came out, I can't even, like, defend Dish in any way because, like, they haven't even really gone back and been like, that was a mistake. I'm dumb. Like, I'm like, they haven't tried to, like, remedy the situation. So even until that happens, I'm like, well, I can't even, like, sit here and be like, oh, people shouldn't, like, keep bringing this up, or people should, like, quote unquote, like, move on, because I'm like, well, you've not fixed up. And again, from a completely non-moral standpoint, even if the money was good, like, really good, I doubt the money was enough to throw away your whole career. And I'm not saying that, like, Dish is cooked forever, because that never seems to be the case. But the amount of legwork, the amount of uphill that Dish is now going to have to do for the rest of their career, if they ever want to get back into, like, a space of, like, popularity and all that kind of stuff and get past this, like, I don't, I like that. I don't know. Like, is that worth the money? Like, genuinely, like, genuinely. And I don't understand, like, why Dish took it, because this is the thing. Dish knew that there was going to be backlash on this, because, and if I go into some of these, like, replies and everything, that's Toronto. We'll talk about that. This post, what time was it at? It was at 1:41 p.m. Some of these replies are, like, within, like, 20 minutes. I think some of them are even, like, 5 minutes away or whatever. I can't see exactly. Actually, I think maybe This one is like within like 5 minutes. So this is at 1:47 p.m. and this comment is 1:43. So it's like within 5 minutes. And someone said, "What about this one?" And they're quote tweeting, Dish is partnering with the PCRF to fund immediate medical support for children and family in Gaza, which is great. Like, that's a lot more than most people do. Like, oh, they tweeted out about like a fund through Tiltify to help people. But obviously, people are kind of being like, how are you going to do like charity work and like support Palestine and then turn around and like take this? And this is where it comes to me where I just like, if I were to sit down and like talk to Dish about it, even though we're not friends, like just from a purely like journalistic reason, like I would ask to be like, why did you take this on when it was very clear that you knew that this was going to be the reaction? Because this is at 1:43 and the reply is at 1:47 talking about the McDonald's franchise who donate meals to the IDF was removed a long time ago. In fact, many other McDonald's franchises have been donating money to Palestine. Please do donate. Like, they had an answer. So obviously, at least in my opinion, because I don't think you can research into this topic that quickly and come up with like these very like straightforward replies. In my opinion, Dish went into it knowing there was going to be a backlash for it and then like had at least an idea of like what counters they had prepared. But I'm like, if you knew that people were going to react this way, what did you think was going to come from this exactly? And I know there's some people, I don't watch Dish, so I can't like say that this is true or not, but people told me that like apparently on stream a couple days before she was even like mentioning it, being like, oh, like people are going to be upset or like something like that. Does anyone know about that whole situation? I heard that that was a thing. Um, and again, it just goes back to the idea of like, if you knew that this was going to be the response, why put yourself in the position to like do that? Like, I at all cost avoid ever getting into a situation like this. Like, who wants to sit there and defend themselves against thousands of people? Like, this is like the worst timeline. I like, for me personally, like this is truly the worst timeline. Like, I would be like, fuck my life. And again, besides even the moralistic stuff of like what is going on, why would you just fuck yourself over like that? Like, knowingly put yourself into like this sort of thing. And honestly, I had a whole on conversation with my mod team chat where I was like, is this their like is this their like I'm going rogue moment? Like, I don't get it. Like, is this like a turning point? Is this like a rebel, like like rebelling against the community? Because like it's for me, that's what it like felt like from the outside. Like, I don't know, again, just his personal life, but like I'm looking at this, I'm like, why does this feel so like fuck everyone who thinks they can control me and tell me what to do, and like have an opinion on like what I take on. Like, it felt like that from some of the replies, especially when one of them, I'm pretty sure I have it here, like saying like Twitter is allergic to research. Like, you're not lying, but in this situation, you're literally digging yourself a like you're digging yourself a bigger hole. Because like, yes, there are a lot of times where Twitter like does not know things, but on this specific situation, when it comes to like Israel and Palestine, like there are people that are very knowledgeable in this situation. There are people that are actually directly affected. And I'm like, and this is another thing. This is another thing that I need to understand. Why the fuck are you replying? Why the fuck are you replying? Like, it is one thing to drop the ad and be like, I'm gonna close my eyes and hope this goes away. Why the fuck are you replying? You are literally taking gasoline and pouring it on the fire with like these types of comments like Twitter's allergic to research. Someone said, don't piss me off, you know damn well what McDonald's are doing. And they said, do you? Like, can we get Call the PR team. Call the PR team. Like I will even give them the benefit of the doubt that the replies like where is it here where they're talking about like oh like the franchise like trying to explain themselves. Fine. Good luck, but fine. You're trying to give your point of view and perspective of why you did it, even though I would have never done this. I'll just say this, and some people would be like, "Well, you never got the deal, so like blah 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 blah." I just want to say this though: I never got asked to do this deal. Thank fuck. But I would not have taken it. And I definitely don't think I make as much money as Dish on this platform. Dish has a way bigger reach than me, way bigger channel than me, way bigger everything than me. I would have fucking never taken this deal, even if they're like, "We're gonna give you 70K, which is maybe how much I make in like a year." I would have been like, "No," because I know in my head, beyond the moral, even just beyond the morals, why the fuck am I going to take this and literally fuck myself over for the next couple of years, and people will use this against me for my whole life for like for what? Like literally for what? Like if you need like genuinely if you needed the money that bad, like then I would be like, "Oh, like okay, like go put out a YouTube video. Like go put in some work." Especially at Dish's size, like I'd be like, "Go make a banger video. You have the audience. If you need the money, like go print the money yourself." Like that's why I think it's so like upsetting even for me because I'm like you literally have like so many viewers, people like love Dish. Love Dish. Like how many times have you walked in on a TikTok comment section about people talking about Genshin content creators being like, who is the ickiest creator? And people are like fucking saying TikTok 5 million times. And everyone's like, you'll never see Dish here. Not Dish. Never Dish though. Like you spent so much work building this brand and like being on the right side of stuff. And I'm like, why literally fucking throw yourself into the pits of hell for a fuck ass McDonald's collab of all things? Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And it's really, that part really bothers me because I'm like, I feel like people like I don't know. Like, I'm like, I know Dish isn't doing as well as maybe in their peak, but I'm like, I'm sure you could come up with something and like reignite that engine. I just don't get it. Anyways, we will talk about what Dish's replies are and go into that because I think if I'm going to cover this, I have to cover it from that perspective of like what Dish's defenses were. So, Dish said, "Hi, the McDonald's franchise who donated the meals to the IDF was removed a long time ago." So, for anyone that doesn't know, there was a subsection of McDonald's that donated meals to the IDF. The IDF is the military in Israel. In fact, many other McDonald's franchises have donated huge amounts of money to aid Palestine civilians. Please do donate. Please do donate to our charity if you have the funds. Okay, like I'm assuming the original tweet. And then someone said source. And Dish posted this, which is this from the McDonald's website themselves? I actually just clocked this at the top. I guess it might be. They put Alad. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right. Alonial Limited announces agreement to sell McDonald's business in Israel to McDonald's Corporation. So I'm pretty sure this is like the franchisee of the like McDonald's in Israel. I don't know if it's all owned by one person or if it's owned by multiple people, but basically for sure the McDonald's that ended up being connected to this was being sold like to McDonald's itself, like to the corporation. So the people that were running this. Because if you didn't know, like McDonald's runs off of a franchise. Franchising means like there's an idea, like the idea of like Tim Hortons, the idea of McDonald's, and then other people take on that idea and like run it themselves kind of thing. They report back to McDonald's. I'm sure there are like certain like things they have to follow, certain agreements, like obviously to keep the brand intact, but like people like own the locations and stuff like that. Like the McDonald's most likely near you is most likely owned by like a person or a company or like a group, like but not owned, I guess, directly by McDonald's to a degree. It's a little bit different. And this is common, I'm thinking, with in like restaurants and corporations. But I'm not here to be the expert in this field. This is not what we're talking about. I'm just giving a little bit of information from what I know. And then this other thing, I don't know if this is from the same article or a different one, says the branches in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Kuwait, Oman, Turkey, and Pakistan distance themselves from the Israeli branch's actions, stressing that they are not responsible for what other franchises in countries do. Which is, I would say, a fair take. Because I don't think they can control what other people do. They can only react. McDonald's Egypt, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia donated, is this the Egyptian currency? EGP, 20 million, 250 million, and SR 2 million to aid the Palestinians in the enclave. McDonald's Turkey also announced providing 1 million in humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. So other McDonald's franchises have obviously donated towards the Palestinians. The supporters of the Palestinians reported that hours following the boycott calls, the post published by McDonald's Israel were either deleted or were inaccessible. So I'm assuming they took it down. Is that it? Oh, there's more. Okay, this is talking about McDonald's Malaysia has also contributed to a humanitarian fund. Okay, so just like other franchise sides of McDonald's donating basically kind of like in the opposite direction. This is a thing. I can almost understand where Dish's logic is coming from. Like, I will be like, okay, like, I can see where you are thinking this argument is. Which is like, you're being like, well, yes, this one side of McDonald's did this one thing bad, but this other side of McDonald's didn't do something bad. So, doesn't that, like, null it to zero? Like, I'm like, okay, I can see where the thought process is coming from. But this whole boycott is all directed by the BDS movement, which is like an organization basically. And they have been like very clear on like why the boycott exists, what the boycott's trying to do, and all that kind of stuff. And it's been, at least to my own knowledge, that the boycott was still ongoing regardless of the situation. And you literally saw this thing. You literally saw how the community reacted to the original posts, like of Genshin announcing this. So, like, although sure there are arguments here, did you think that you were going to have the ability to change everybody's mind, let alone like remove them from the boycott list because you did a sponsor? Like, the problem is this isn't even coming from a place of like, which I don't know why you would play defense for $1 billion corporation, but for whatever fucking reason, the defense of like, guys, maybe I don't think McDonald's should be on the BDS list anymore. Again, don't know why we'd be coming to the defense of $1 billion corporations, but like, fine. Like, you're looking at this list of boycotts and you're like, maybe it should be updated. You're coming from a place of, I'm taking money from this company, so now I will make my plea for why I don't think it should be on the BDS list. No one's gonna take you seriously. Like, nobody. Also, like, you're not like a political commentator. You're not like involved like in politics heavily to any degree beyond obviously like they do talk about stuff. So why? Like, again, why? I did not know enough about the boycott. I will say right now. I knew the boycott existed. Did I know exactly why certain companies are on it? No. But then I pulled it up because I was like, okay, I'm hearing this out. I want to know why. I want to know more. And there was actually someone, thank God, where is it, who did reply to Dish's tweet about the situation. And the BDS movement did like address this whole McDonald's situation. And I was like, oh, this is good to know. I'm glad that they did. Because it's not like a thing that's then up in the air at that point. Like, they've talked about what's going on. And the BDS movement on April 8th tweeted out McDonald's is bowing to BDS pressure by getting rid of its genocide feeding Israeli franchise. But this won't stop the boycott because it's doing it exactly the wrong way. Instead of terminating the franchise agreement altogether, it's buying all its Israeli restaurants, pouring more money into the Israeli war during its genocide against 2.3 million Palestinians, which, when you think about it, which I'm again not an expert in business, law, politics, I was like, correct. If the restaurant, like, if like the company McDonald's is buying this franchise directly from these people who put out these tweets or and whatever took this stance, technically what McDonald's is doing is paying out the people who own the franchise because they're obviously buying the restaurants back. So the people who have these ideas, who are supporting these things, are now gaining a mass cash inflow that they then can reinvest whatever it is in, like, into the thing that they're like trying to run away from. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, that is actually very true. Like, that is not technically helping the situation. You are kind of really just getting rid of like the face and the, like, person directly connected so this doesn't happen again. But the people that are behind this are getting all the money. They're getting an out of the situation to then do whatever they want later on with it. Who knows what they'll invest it in? I I want to say, Olive, I don't know what the answer is of what the better thing to do was. I don't know how the law approaches this. I don't know if this would technically go under a breach of an agreement. If it did, I'm sure there would have to be like a massive, and I'm talking like massive lawsuit to like almost be like, oh, like these should be like like removed completely. I don't know what the answer is, but I am pretty sure there probably is a better way of dealing with the situation than this. Because at the end of the day, even when I sign contracts with companies, I have clauses within my contracts sometimes saying if I bring harm onto the brand, meaning like let's say I'm doing like a sponsorship and then I, you know, like say a slur on stream while I'm doing the sponsorship and now everybody's being like, "Oh my god, XYZ is like, directly connected to so and so, and while they're being sponsored this and this, like now we should not support XYZ." The company has the right through their contract with me, at least in some scenarios, to pull out of the agreement completely and not pay me. The agreement becomes completely null and void, meaning like thrown out. Or at sometimes they even can go and seek damages from me directly, which is crazy. But that happens. And I'm for McDonald's is a very, 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 very strong, rich company. There's no way their clauses aren't insanely tight with like, we can pull out this, and like they literally have proof that they've lost money. The McDonald's stocks have gone down. I'm pretty sure in like 4 years. Um, so there were definitely ways that they could do it. Also, quote unquote, Kieran saying they did it in Russia. If they terminated them, they would get sued. Buying them out was the best option they had. Mm, when Russia attacked Ukraine, companies pulled all their locations out. I actually do remember that. I think the problem is, unfortunately, because of the situation, global like leaders and like I don't even know if it's the UN, it's just honestly the American government and even some of most of the Western governments are trying to like act like the situation isn't happening even though it is. And I think maybe, and I'm thinking from a business perspective, they feel like they don't have a like clear cut stance in the general law books, even though they definitely do, to like do what they did with Ukraine and Russia. But there were definitely avenues, though probably more difficult for sure, that probably required more upfront money that they might not have like won, of not having to buy these companies out and pull out or whatever, that probably involved like suing or whatever. I personally think they took the easy way out because they knew that people would then just, glaze over it, kind of like what just happened. But I agree with what the BDS movement said, where like this move that McDonald's made, although sure, one could argue is a way out of the situation, doesn't technically help the situation. Sure, it might clear McDonald's name from these people and remove them, but then when you look deeper into it, which most people won't because most people don't have the average knowledge of what happens in business, like what this even technically means beyond pulling out or buying the companies back, they're not going to think beyond that. They don't connect the dots to like, but who does this money go to? Anyways, BDS goes on to say, we're not falling for it. By directly acquiring 200 Israeli branches, McDonald's has become more, not less, complicit in Israel's genocide and underlying systems of apartheid. McDonald's move to gain more control over its own brand won't cut it. So, on the BDS, there's a bunch of companies. Some that I didn't even realize were connected directly. Like, I looked at this, I was like, oh, there's actually a lot more than I realized. And it seems like there are companies put on this list for different reasons. So there are some that are directly connected, some that are like investment related, some that are pressure related, meaning we're going after these companies because they have a huge platform or ability, like market share, whatever. And like at this point, like it is very much a situation of there are tons of innocent people dying. And although some people might not be directly connected, there are very big voices in this space of business, of an economics, that when push comes to shove, will have the ability to be like, if you guys don't deal with this, to governments, whatever, like there's going to be an issue. Like, and I don't know if this is like a hard thing to wrap around, but like the unfortunate reality is that sometimes this is what needs to happen. Like, although like there was a company that's indirectly related to something or might not be like the figurehead, they have so much pull or push in the economy. Like think Amazon, like how much money Amazon has. And if Amazon's like, I don't know what's going on, and again, I don't want to say that I know if Amazon is or is not connected. Honestly, at the end of the day, it is so easy for things to get connected back to like the economies of Israel or whatever's going on, which is sad to think about. Is that like almost half of the stuff we probably interact with daily somehow finds its way back there? But if Amazon can know, okay, our profits have dropped here, which God forbid companies' profits drop, our profits have dropped here, and we know it's directly connected to XYZ boycott, DDDDD calling up the country, whatever. If y'all don't fix this shit, like I'm gonna have a fucking issue and not fund your fucking holiday this month or whatever the fuck they're saying. Like that is literally what happens. And it honestly sucks how much corporations are directly connected to like politics within like the world, but that is what happens. Anyways, McDonald's is still listed under the organic boycott targets, and they actually explain each one here. And it says the BDS movement did not initiate these grassroots boycott campaigns, but supports them due to these brands' complicity in Israel's genocide and apartheid against Palestinians. It's still there. Now, I don't know if they've made a post since this. This was in January. And again, the other one was in, oh, I don't know where it went. I think I might have closed it. The other one was like in April. But it's clear that the situation has not been fixed. There is no agreement. There is still an ongoing genocide. There are still innocent lives being taken. And I'm under the assumption that until that stops, the boycott is still going. I think it's just as cut and dry as that. At the end of the day, people can make their arguments as to why or why not, but the issue is still happening. And again, I don't know why the fuck people took this on as an ad. Side note, a bunch of other creators did it. I'm not going to go into the exacts of which. I just want to say one more thing. How the fuck is this an ad? Like, I don't know if I'm crazy and I can't see, but like, when this first got posted by Toronto, I was confused because, like, where's the hashtag ad? I was under the assumption as a content creator that any ad that I did had to be very blatantly clear. And when this first came up, I was, as always, skeptical. And I was like, is this an ad or did Toronto just buy it? I'm pretty sure it was an ad because he took it down. Um, I'm concerned personally with like how many things have been advertised by Hoyo creators and non Hoyo creators, like just in general in this space, without proper like ad clarification. Because I'm pretty sure if someone looked at this, it would be very easy, let me know, chat, to think that this was just a post. You know? And like, it's McDonald's, so like, you could definitely be like, okay, like, you know, maybe they're just, you know, like really enjoying the collab or whatever, and they just wanted to post that they got it. Like, I don't think it's obvious that this is like an advertisement, like that you got paid to put this up. Maybe drawing attention to the link. I don't know what the ad is either. This was an ad. Pretty sure this was an ad. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, um, what? Like, that's concerning. Anyways, is there anything you guys want me to look at in regards to this, or any of your thoughts that you guys wanted to voice on this situation that you think is important? By all means, voice it now. Someone said PyCon's quote about this made me mad. What was who and what is PyCon? That's what the boycott's for though. It's for their pockets hurt, change will happen. It's really not that hard to not eat their food. I used to eat at these places all the time. As soon as I heard about the situation, I dropped them and never once fumbled. I think the problem is like also that creators don't realize how much influence they have. You know? Again, it's one thing for a creator to go and secretly buy an apple pie. It's another thing for you to go and take an ad. Because now, how many people saw this, read like Dish's take on it, or not even, how many people saw this and were like, well, Dish did it, so I'll just buy it. Like, I won't tweet about it, but I'll just buy it. Do you know what I mean? Like, genuinely, how many people saw a content creator do it and were like, you know, well, if they're doing it, like, I'll just get it, but I won't say anything. Because, like, well, if they're gonna do it, why am I, like, then I should do it. Like, why? Like, and also, like, so many people who did it, like, are gonna think, oh, well, if they're not boycotting, if they're not even gonna do it, then why the fuck am I? Which is annoying, but, like, people say that. People do that. Like, why am I the only one that's doing it? I get what people are saying about the Dish situation, kind of, because Dish was very much like boycott, apparently, and now the McDonald's thing, so it's kind of weird. The other content creators I don't know anything about. Why did they include streamer like Fob when he didn't get sponsored? I think, was there a post? That's see, that's a problem. I guess Fob bought it. Again, some people are gonna have the conversation of being like buying it is just as bad. You're still promoting it to your audience. I'm not gonna like argue against that. I do think there is a difference though between like buying it yourself versus taking a whole on ad and promoting it. And I can't like I'm reading this, I'm like, again, I there's no hashtag ad. And they are complaining, so I don't think this is an ad personally, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure Fob like this isn't an ad because I don't think they would want to pay for someone to be like, fuck you guys for not sending my fucking code. It's been 36 hours. Like they're not gonna pay for that because that's negative attention. But they're listed because obviously, yeah. But that's not the same. Um listen, I'm picky with what I eat, so I can't eat a lot of things, but I can't eat this brand. Listen, I will get it, but I won't say anything. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your life. Like, if that's what people expect me to do, to like come in my chat and be like, "You're disgusting if you buy this," I'm not gonna do that. I'm not buying it myself. I would like to keep my conscience clean, and when I know something's wrong, or at least I think something's wrong, and like I just feel like I would be so hypocritical if I bought it personally, so I'm not gonna buy it. And they're wings. Like they're fucking wings. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of what it is, but they're literally wings. Like it's not like this is a collab of the century and you are missing out on the craziest skin of Genshin Impact with brand new animations and blah blah blah. They're literally just wings. Like I don't even feel like I'm losing out on anything. Genuinely, I really don't. So, do you know what I mean? Some of the threads are so far fetched. Sorry, wait. Not gonna lie, I didn't know the boycott existed, so I bought it. I mean, you can't you can't control how informed you are. The only thing you could do is control what you do after. Now you know, so do with that information what you may. People are also justifying it because they're like, hey, it's okay because that McDonald's is local. What? No, that's not the point of the boycott. The boycott is overall pressure. Pressure to like the stock. So like McDonald's needs to do bad overall globally for the stock to do bad, for the pressure to exist. So no, that's not true. Also, some content creators just don't care about politics, even though this is about human lives. Yeah, it's honestly, you know why, chat? Like real talk conversation. It's easier for creators to not care about politics because politics is like a fucking landmine. Like you make a take on something, and there's always going to be, of course, another side. And the unfortunate reality is, whether content creators want to fucking admit it or not, they think about if I take this stance, there are going to be people that follow me that unfollow me because I take this stance. Like if I say fuck Trump and there are Trump supporters that watch my videos and are my viewers, they're going to unfollow me and not like me and not watch my content. But if I stay politically neutral, meaning I don't give a take about anything, I don't say my opinion on anything, I just do what I'm doing, well, then I can reap the rewards from everything, right? But like, there's some things that I could definitely like. I'm like, I don't want to take this conversation on, like the excellent thing. And it's not because of the viewer things, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with that side of the community. Like, I don't want to deal with like the backlash that comes from like taking an opinion on that. But if I feel like if you don't say anything about anything ever, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. But I don't know. I guess sometimes it's easy for some people because like depending on like who you are as a person, like how you identify, whether I'm not going to say exactly, like a lot of stuff might not affect you directly. But even so, like with a situation like this that has just become like so globally known and like you can't run away from it. Like I scroll on my Twitter and every day I like see something about it to the point where I'm like, "Oh my god, like it's gross and disgusting." I just like think to myself that I'm like, I don't want to be like looked at in the history textbook as a person that was silent at this time. Sure, I'm not a political commentator. I'm not like Hassan who's like gonna bring you the news every day, telling you exactly why everything's wrong and like, you know, educate you, because I'm definitely not doing that. I could not handle that. But I feel like it's my duty to some degree to at least point people in a direction, to be like, by the way, guys, this stuff's going on, and like, if you don't know about it, you should probably know about it. Like, I feel like that's like the bare minimum as a creator when you have influence. Like, instead of influencing people to go fucking spend $5 to get some stupid fucking wings at McDonald's. Like, and also there's so many freaking oh, I'm actually pissed. There's so many fucking sponsorships out there. Like, just go take another one for some match 3 game. Like, take the L and like promote, like, I don't, again, some of these might be correct connected to Israel. I don't know. I don't know the like whole direct things, but like, go take a Raid Shadow Legends sponsor for fuck's sakes. Like, if you need the money, like, I don't like, if you need the money, good, great. Why this one? Why this one right now? Like, especially now. I'm not sure if the boycott stuff is just happening in America. It's not. It's happening globally. Because in the UK, I never see people talking about it or caring about it. I mean, I don't think people talk about it IRL. I'm gonna be real. I don't think I've ever been out and the conversation has come up. But also, I don't have many conversations IRL these days about politics. People like avoid IRL conversations about politics like the damn plague. Like, to be honest. And whenever politics conversation comes up, it's usually for the wrong reason. It's like someone saying some unhinged shit across the fucking dinner table or something, and then it's like, oh well, we're gonna talk about this now because you're being dumb as fuck. Um, I'm sure there are people that obviously in your friend groups like talk about politics. For instance, like me and my directly close friends talk about some things when like, they either relate or we're like directly connected or whatever. But I don't think it's common. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. You know what I mean? And I also feel like obviously the internet is sometimes a safer place to talk about stuff like that because like there's anonymity and like, your family might have very different political opinions than you, or even some of people's friends have very different political opinions than them. And no offense, but like, who wants to get into a fucking political argument every other day with their friends? Like, that doesn't seem like a fun time either. It's like time and place. So again, it's person to person. I don't know. Um, John also did the collab, and I had to unfollow and everything because how can you sponsor company funding 2 genocides? Wait, what's the other one? And Hoyo's racism, colorism, cultural appropriation. I am not impressed with what John did. I'm gonna be real. I did voice that to them, and I was like, babes, you're on your own on that one. I don't know why they took it. I know they had a conversation with their chat about it, I think the other day. I don't know how that went. I'm disappointed in all of them. Um I hope that when they saw the backlash, they at least pulled out. Or like, I hope honestly, I know this is like really unrealistic, but the only thing I could think that could remedy maybe the situation is like, if they didn't pull out or were unable to pull out, take the money that you earned from that sponsor and just donate it and take the L. I don't think I don't think that will fix the situation. Like, I don't think that people will necessarily like forgive them for doing it. But I think that that is a good step of like trying to make amends and move past. So you could at least like wipe your slate clean and be like, well, I did not like, at least like, I did not make money from it directly, and I am not going to ever do that again. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you like, what do you think? Like, do you think, chat, that there's a way to come back from this? Do you think there is a fix? Do you think there is an apology that could remedy it? Or do you think the people that did this are just like done and dusted? That's actually smart. You should be their PR team. I think like that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I've been in situations, though not like this with a sponsor, where I've fucked up royally, publicly. And that's why I'm like, okay, like I have been in a position where I've had Twitter threads about me with thousands of likes and views. Like I know where what it what it is to be in a hot seat, just not in this particular one. Um and I wanted to like give the creators like a fair shot, but I think in this situation it's kind of like very hard. Like it's very like cut and dry. There's not a lot of leeway with it. The money couldn't have been worth it, man. Like you're a content creator and don't know the repercussions. I don't feel like like the money is worth it when it will follow you for like years to come, and everyone will look at you and like never believe what you say and think you're like, no offense, kind of a sellout. Tells me who they are as people. Haven't seen any apologies yet. I haven't seen any apologies yet either, to my knowledge. Didn't Toronto delete it? I'm pretty sure they did. Toronto deleted it, I think, like a couple minutes. It was like up and then gone. I think people will forget. People will forget temporarily. Content creators love to think that stuff like this will go away. This stuff will never go away. What happens is people don't talk about it, but then the next time there's something slightly related, or any of these content creators make another misstep, it's fuck you for this and also fuck you for this a year ago. Which I will say sometimes isn't fair when the content creator has done tried to do the work. Like they're clearly trying to move on a better path. But like you gotta do that work. If you never do the work, you never apologize, you never like make amends, and never like try to like remedy a situation, like then no one will like come to your defense at that point. Are you speaking from experience with myself? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Guys, I was mentioned in a Natsu document for 3 lines, I think, maybe total, or five. And I didn't even speak on it, and I somehow had a thread pop up about me 2 weeks later. Like, no, the shit does not go away. Girl, you wish. I see a bunch of people doing a video of this drama, and most of the comments are defending the content creators. The only defense I can give them is this, which I think is also a huge mirror that we all need to turn on ourselves personally. And I honestly thought about this and I don't have an answer. And I think this might be a thing that people aren't ready to have a conversation about. It might get me myself in trouble, but how are we, and this is crazy, this coming at the end after I just had this long ass rant, but how are we, God, I hope people make it to the end of this video because I feel like this might be my saving grace of not being biased. How are we supposed to judge the content creators when at the end of the day, we're all still playing the game? Like I thought about that maybe 2 days later, and that's been eating me up. Because sure, we're not buying the McDonald's collab. Like, I'm not putting my money into the collab itself. But am I indirectly supporting the collab and this whole situation by still playing the game? Like, we're a company that, like, the company had the choice to take this collab on in the first place. Like, that has definitely been eating me alive. Like, where I'm like if I play this game, am I still semi okaying the fact that they even took on this collab in the first place? And like I can point my fingers and be like, yeah, sure, like what they did is worse. I will definitely say that. What they did is definitely worse. Am I able to like look at myself and be like, am I scot free in this situation? Especially as a content creator. Like am I able to say like nothing I've done has supported this. Well, every video I put out could possibly go to a new audience, and that new audience might play Genshin, and that new audience might go and buy the McDonald's collab that exists. Right? So, ooh, my stomach. I don't know. That's like a real that is a question I don't have the answer to, and it makes me feel shit. But we're also using Google apps, etc. Doesn't that mean we need to give them more money? You don't need to buy the greasy hamburger to live. I mean, fair, sure. In my situation, there's an argument to be like, well, it's my job and blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, fair. Yes, of course. No one is saying, like, give up your livelihood. Don't work at this company. You know, there are plenty of people that work at McDonald's, and I don't think anyone's saying quit your job. But, like, playing Genshin is a choice. Being positive about Genshin is a choice. Like, so like I'm like, is there ways that I can do this and do more, be better? I think that's a fair question to ask myself. I never expected content creators to stop playing the game or anything, but I thought the consensus was we all hated this collab. Well, most people, yes. Preach. That's called being self-aware and not being afraid to admit it. We're not perfect. We try to make the right choices, but ultimately right choices don't exist. Okay, yeah, of course. I think that's definitely like you can't avoid it. Like no matter what at the end of the day, like there are so many companies connected and the war machine that exists everywhere is connected to everything. But I think it's like I think the best thing you could do is constantly ask yourself, can I be doing more or can I be doing better? Whether you're a content creator or just a regular ass person. And when there is a way to try to do always better, and I feel like I like in this case, in this scenario, and how I want to end this video, because I just want to be done it now that we've been talking for so long, is there was definitely a way that this could have been done better. And unfortunately, I think that way in this case was not taking this collab and saying no. And I would hope that all of the content creators here would have been fine financially to not take this collab. I'm pretty sure they would have been because they chose a lot of very large content creators. Um, and if they weren't fine financially without taking this collab, like I don't know if voicing that would help, but like maybe you would just have to say no and find another way in this scenario, I think, which sucks, but is a reality. Yeah. I think it's important if people are going to keep playing the game, people have to stay on Hoyo's ass about doing better. What a topic. How much could they have been getting paid? A fuck ton. But I don't know how much, and I didn't ask, because I feel like that's weird. Anyways, chat. Glad we talked about that. Crossing it off my list. The fact that I'm literally going to go play Genshin now. LOL.